Hello, everybody. We are live. We're doing something a little bit different tonight. I've got my good friend Lance from Forgotten Path Games joining us in just a moment here. And we will be doing a live ranking of all of the original Transformers Armada toys. We're not doing the repaints. We're doing all the mini-cons. We're doing all of the main line figures. And this is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a little bit chaotic. If you don't know Lance, he's been on stream before when we did figure action. He's been a good friend. I've known him for over 20 years. Lance, how are you doing, man?
All I know is you've been dodging me for weeks. Actually, I'm doing good.
We were pretty busy. Where I was busy coming back from TFCon, and
that's fair.
I know you. Yeah, you had a bit going on too. So for those that don't know you, you run a shop out in Vacaville called Forgotten Path Games. Tell us a little bit about your shop and what you guys specialize in for those that don't know.
Well, first of all, you've done this before, and I got to correct you. You say Vacaville. Vacaville.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Blame the horrible Maryland accent.
But if we call that an accent, man, I think you and Deluxe need to talk. But my name is Lance Park. I am part owner of a game store out here in California. We do board games, card games, tabletop games, miniature games, all that good stuff. If you've heard of Pokemon, we carry that too, yes. So, and I like Transformers.
That's Deluxe's tagline. So we're gonna
get sued.
Well, you only get sued if you say thank you for having me. I love Transformers. That's how you get sued.
Hey there, everybody.
So,
all right, now.
But yeah, so the rules for this one, we're gonna be doing a tier list, and what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be having arguments for or why a figure should be ranked in a certain place. And yes, we are copying the BWTF ranking list. Or grading list, rather. So if you're familiar with BWTF, a long time back, probably what, 21 years ago, Ben Yee from that site changed the from an A, B, C, D, E system to jam, yum jam, jelly, why my shoulders hurt, and then just the straight D. And we're going to be doing the same. So the rules of this is we're going to be making maybe some civil, maybe some heated arguments on why we believe certain figures should be ranked the way they are. And we'll have one last chance at the end to decide where, make final adjustments. So if we have say Starscream is yum jam, but maybe he should be a jam, we can make those arguments. Or if, we have a change of heart about say sidewise, or I don't know, thrust. Going into the void, Anyway, let's get this tier list.
You should tell them. Hold on. This is part of this originates from.
Well, yeah, we do have that.
We had an argument about the word Armada figure. Although what is this weird toy line that in theory, on paper, it's cool as hell. Execution, we're gonna mix bag, but there's one figure, and when we get to the S's, we're gonna have an argument. And despite the fact I may have been outvoted,
I think when we get to that D grade here. So again, D being the worst. Why my shoulders hurt is our C grade, our average, or just barely passing. Jelly is the B. Yum jam is our A, and jam is our S class. I think we'll probably be in agreement on which are the best ones. I think when we get down to here, that's where the disagreements are gonna fly. But yeah, we had a bit of YouTuber debates going on at TFCon, and we pulled in Bolt Matrix, we pulled in Kato, we pulled in Deluxe, we pulled in Patriot Prime, we pulled in Rodimus Primal, and the debate was over two figures that I think both are absolute dog shit. But I think there was the big debate about which was the worst. I almost think that we're going to need an even bigger bottom of the barrel. But hey, we got some people popping off in chat. We got Princeton Phalanx Poppy saying hello, good to see you, good sir. And we also have the man himself, Rodimus Primal, saying, I don't have an opinion on best Armada figure, but I tell you the bottom of the list consists of Smokescreen, Scavenger, and Sideswipe. No arguments there. So
I will say at TFCon, I met many of these YouTubers that you named. They're cool guys. Never heard of them before TFCon. So, I mean, how much does their opinion really matter?
It's the voice of the group that matters. The will of the people, Lance. The will of the people.
Oh,
but right now,
so you want to start talking politics? Let's not do that.
No, we're not talking politics. We are an escapist channel over here on the Extra Zero YouTube channel. We're here to talk Transformers. We're here to talk about why we love them, why we love some of them less than others, but it's all love over here, man. So I think we wanted to kick things off kind of slow. We'll start off with the minicons. I think
the minicon teams, like a lot of them, were very cool. And again, Armada, cool in concept on paper. You come to me like as a businessman and say, "Hey, this Transformer line is gonna be loaded with gimmicks." All right, let's go. Minicons, I think, was one of the best parts, if not the best part of Armada, because that concept has continued throughout the many lines. You still see them, although Hasbro, fuck you for your Armada remakes that are so good, but where's the goddamn minicons?
The cool thing about the Armada line was that every figure came with a minicon, and each one,
for one too.
Yeah. Each one was unique in a way. Well, sometimes they weren't, but for the most part, they were unique. You didn't get a lot of repaints amongst the individual minicons. And I think, despite the fact the figures had lacking articulation compared to what came before in Robots in Disguise, the minicons, tended, some of them were heavily articulated, but they were just fun little pocket toys. And you could kind of see past the decrease in articulation to just having that fun factor. I mean, when I was growing up, we had Z-Bots, and I loved those, and I was always like, man, I wish these, because Z-Bots had really nice sculpting and paintwork, and they had the base articulation, and I was like, man, I just wish more of these would transform. Very few Z-Bots transformed, and Micromasters were pocket bricks. I mean, you were lucky if their arms would move. And so for me, minicons were kind of like that blend between Z-Bots and their out there crazy designs. A lot of the minicons had very unconventional designs, but they had just the right amount of articulation in most cases, and they transformed. So they all transformed. So
I mean, I don't know. I was fine with lack of articulation on some, just because they're like an inch tall, 2 inches, 3 maybe at most, like shorter than a 3 3/4 GI Joe. So. But like they're cool, So very smaller, forgivable for lack of articulation. And some of these had cool gimmicks. Which one we starting with?
Let's start off with the Adventure Minicon team. So I'm not putting. So just for discretion, when I'm putting it in D, this is our starting point. So we're starting off before we get into it. I remember this one. So this was one I actually skipped. I've messed with them before, and I think I actually picked up a couple of them to mess with at TFCon. And again, like, I know the names of all the core Armada bots. I think we're in the same boat. We know the names of the teams of the minicons, but the individual bot names, you got to forgive us because not all of them stand out.
And there's a million of them to the main figures.
Yeah. I remember these guys just being pretty generic. Like, you're
right, but they share a gimmick kind of with another one later on, the Destruction one that came out first. So they had that little, you see the gear and Dune one had the gun that rotates. One of them had opening and closing, like snowplow claw thingy, whatever. And
the green guy has the winch.
The winch. It was Cyclonus. Because he had a thing where, like, you could pull the trigger on his tail and it would move the gear. So, and if these guys rolled, you could do that too. But yeah, other than that, they're pretty basic bitch.
I mean, I don't want to say that they're in.
No, I don't. I wouldn't.
I think like middle of the
put
road.
them at the bottom. Solidly mid. I would agree with solidly mid.
Yeah.
Because like it's cool.
Yeah, I
yes,
hope your
Robbie,
audio
you
cut
are
out.
correct.
Yeah, that was the first name when they were Transformers in name only, and then we really got that with the 2007 movie.
Yeah, I would put them solidly mid.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got the Space Minicon team that forms the Requiem Blaster.
Bottom of.
Yeah. I think of all of
Here's
the ones. Mm-hmm.
The problem is that blue one. The space shuttle is fantastic. The middle and the short or the blue, like what's it called? No,
He was just standing there. And that's what I always remember.
no, like because for me, when you split him in half to do that combined one, he loved to fall apart from that half.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the space shuttle was cool. The truck that carried the space shuttle, cool. But otherwise, I can't. Like I said, and that one didn't feel like it held together very well.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a cool concept to have like a cohesive team like that, but I never found it well executed. And
Right.
it's a shame too, because I thought like Fans Hobby was going to right that wrong. And then when we saw their attempt at TFCon, it looked like more of the same.
Well, the problem is too, like 2 out of 3 of those figures very well. The rocket back of the shuttle, or the truck, space station that doesn't combine with the 3 outside of the gun. Like if they had found some way, like if you could mount him on the truck too, there'd be more synergy there.
Yeah.
So bottom of the barrel.
All right. Next up, let's pick the Street Minicon team. I think this is an underrated one. Like, are they generic?
They have the most articulation of the teams.
Yeah. I remember picking this one up because people in the boards back in the day were talking about that, and to me, these were like the next evolution of Micromasters. I'm hesitant to say that they're just like that. They are boring looking figures, but they were fun.
No, they were fun because the advertising on was articulation. They have bendable elbows.
Yeah, knees on a couple of them. I
guarantee you, most of these minicons don't have bendable elbows.
Yeah.
So, and if you know me, I like my articulation. Astrobots. That's my mandatory plug for the night.
Plus, they all had feet too, which was, again, some of the minicon.
They did have feet.
Some of the minicon designs were very abstract, but these guys had feet, and also too, they did. Again, we're not counting redecos, but they did get a better deco that made them look less generic.
Look, man, paint scheme don't matter much to me when you know how to repaint them anyway. And yeah, stuff got repainted. But yeah, the basic, the articulate. I think they even had movable heads. I think their heads were tiny balls.
Oh, actually, did we want these guys in Why My Shoulders Hurt? The C,
which one?
The C tier.
For the Requiem Blaster?
Not the Requiem Blaster. Requiem Blaster goes in D.
Yep.
But for these guys, were we putting them in Jelly or Why My Shoulders Hurt?
Oh, the Adventure Team?
Yeah, the Adventure Team.
I think
C.
C.
Yeah, because I want to say
which one is that? Is that?
Yeah, so we have S, A, B, C, and D. I think we said C for these guys, but I want to say the Street Team's a solid B.
I would agree with that. Like the Street Team solid B, good articulation for that scale, just solid figures. So I agree with that. Next team.
All right. Next up, let's do the Race Team. So the Race Team also formed the Skyboom Shield. This is one that I've messed with. I've never I never picked up, and I never picked it up because I never liked how the F1 racer formed the bottom of the shield. It didn't look cohesive in the Sky Boom mode, and that's what I feel like you would want it for.
Disagree. However, it is also weird because I think it's a slight remold of Starscream's.
Yeah, the Swindle one.
It's like the head is the only thing that's different. So this has the.
I think the head's the same.
No, this one had Starscream's didn't have a slot in the top. This one had a slot in the top because that's where you stuck the.
But like the face looks very similar.
Yeah, I think they just add a hole to the top of his head.
Yeah, just for that post.
So, yeah, it's not. I think it's the best looking of the three weapons. If you want to call it's not a weapon, right? It's Sky Boom shield.
Yeah, it's a shield. I mean it certainly forms the silhouette of a shield. It definitely, holds together better than the air defense team, though. See, it's funny because I think the air defense team's the best looking of the three, but it doesn't hold together well at all.
No, it does not. That is what it is. Look, they didn't care about.
Yeah, and the individual bots.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the individual bots, save for the not the F1 car, but like the sports car, they all were very limited in articulation, especially the F1 racer. I'm thinking it's a C for me. What do you think?
I would agree with C, just because the best part of them, individual, not great. And I take points off considering one of them is a very minor retool.
Yeah.
But I'm a picky bastard.
Next up, we got one that I did own, and this is the C Minicon team. I kind of this one's like a weird one for me because it's tied into again, these were a cohesive bunch. They all had missiles, yeah, and that's the thing is, I love these guys paired up with Tidal Wave, but I also love the fact that they had missiles.
Yes, they're push missiles rather than spring missiles, but yes,
yeah. And this was before push missiles became the de facto for what they were doing.
Well, for safety reasons.
Yeah, well, safety reasons and costs.
No, absolutely.
Actually, I think that Beast Machines introduced the push missiles.
You might be right.
Yeah,
I would put I think they're solidly good.
Yeah, I think Jelly. We'll give them a B.
Yeah, but my only downside is they're better with Tidal Wave versus by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd take that. They're still fun on their own, and I mean,
cohesive colors.
Yeah. And all but one of them actually has leg articulation. Granted, the one has a screw face, but But look, they did also get a that purple deco that went along really well. Tidal Wave. I had always wished I got that.
I am surprised Fans Hobby has not announced they're doing those yet to go with their Tidal Wave.
Yeah.
But they're doing the ones first. I get it.
Give it time.
Okay. Next team
is another one that I had. Let's do the land military team.
These were one of the first wave ones.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Their big was missiles.
Big missiles. Yep.
One of them had a spring. I think the other one of them had the spring. The other two were push, I think. Yep.
The green guy though, I loved him. He had the dual push missiles, and I love the fact that like when you fired the missiles, his hands looked like big pincher claws. The other guy had like the black artillery vehicle had the big one that turned into a cannon arm, and I think the yellowish orange guy, yeah, he had the over the shoulder spring loaded. These guys sold me on minicons. Like they were my first minicon purchase actually. Now I think back, I picked them up with Demolisher.
Yeah, they were part of Wave.
They definitely were part of Wave 1.
So yeah, I definitely were one of the ones I picked up too. The only problem with the black one is if you had the missile in, you could not put that arm straight down next to him.
Yeah, I mean, you had to have it like kind of on the ground, but I mean, when that missile's loaded, I mean, you kind of wanted it up. But I think as a team, they were successful. They were a lot of fun. I enjoyed like, you know, putting these guys in my pocket here and there. You know,
Would
even
you
though I
dare
was
B or S or A or S?
I would dare give them an A, to be honest. Like,
Yum.
yeah, like they don't have the greatest articulation, but they all three had the fun factor, and they were that like step up from Micromasters that I was talking about. I think
I agree.
I think it's more fair to give them a B, but my nostalgia for them is higher because like I'm admitting my own bias because like they were the first ones I got. They were the ones that sold me on them.
Okay. I will go with B. I don't know if they're A, but I would definitely go with B.
Yeah. I want to give them the A, but I know that it would be wrong to do so just because, you know,
I'm not have them hit that A or S rank. Yeah. But we might. I think there's one team on here that might do that when we get to it. Next one.
So we got the this one's gonna break some people's hearts, but we got the air defense team, which is another one I owned.
Fucking trash.
Yeah. I like the jet modes.
Jet mode's good. Robot mode's solidly okay. Combined mode, you would be lucky if you could leave. You'd have to glue them in place to hold that saber together.
Yeah, I remember people doing that back in the day on the boards. I don't want to give them a D because I think that I don't think they're as big of a fail as the Requiem Blaster, but I don't think that they're any better or worse than the Skyboom Shield, personally. Other than the fact the Skyboom Shield holds together better.
So I would do the shoulders hurt, I think, for them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that's not the bottom, but it's just because, like I said, they cannot hold together very well.
So next up, I was going to say next up we're doing Destruction Team.
So these were another one that worked with Cyclonus because they had that gear gimmick where like the drill, the saw, random, anti-aircraft gun tank thing. Yeah. And I think they were also Wave 1. Although one of them was definitely
Yeah. I mean, I never got these guys. Oh, I lost Lance. We'll give him a second here. I'm sure he probably had an internet blip. So let's go ahead and add him back in. There we go.
All right, you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. So
excellent. So for these guys, I like the overall gimmick on them. I don't think they're as good as the Street Action team. My big question is, are they the same quality as the Adventure team or better?
Yeah, that's where it gets tough here because it's like
they have very unique alt modes.
Yeah,
probably some of the more unique ones because, like, I don't think I've seen a big excavator one. Seen a double barrel tank thing, anti-aircraft thing a dozen times at this point.
Yeah,
and I don't know why this dude has a drill on his butt versus it should be pointing forward for proper drilling.
Yeah,
that is what it is. I don't know. Where would you put them?
So it's hard. Like, I remember seeing these in the stores back in the day, and I passed on them because I remember the color scheme not looking the best.
Oh, it's a weird ass color
scheme.
No coherency at all.
Yeah, it reminded me of like those late stage Beast Machines packs where they just had like a hard on for using like red, yellow, and black, but not in ways that I thought worked. Right. It's not. I mean, these guys obviously got repainted, and the repaints didn't changed their functionality, but
look, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Everything in their Armada line got repainted at least friggin' once.
yeah, and
at least.
And those repaints went all the way into Energon, and
actually, there might be one figure that didn't. I didn't look this up, but when we get to the figure, I'll ask.
Yeah, because like Energon and Cybertron got weird with those multi-packs too, and then they also got
those I want to do tier list too at some point.
Yeah.
Those are all like the Unicron trilogy just got better each wave.
Yeah.
But
I think for now I would be comfortable putting these in the C.
Okay.
But we can revisit it. It's like I know that they're better than, they're more functional and they have more play value than the Skyboom or the Star Saber teams, but I remember passing on them several times.
Yeah.
So
that's fine.
All
right, next team.
Next team we got let's see, which air team was this? It's hard for me to see.
Well, air military would be the next one, I think.
Yeah.
Because the only other one I think left is the emergency team.
Yeah. Well, we got the emergency team and we also have the street team as well.
Oh, yep, I forgot about those guys.
Yeah.
So I think if you're looking at air ones, that's the air military team. So there's 2 minicon teams that form individual weapons that don't combine into weapons, but they each are individual weapons.
Yeah.
This is the weaker one because one is a shuriken, which makes no goddamn sense. One becomes a Wolverine claw, basically. And I don't even know what the fucking, one with multiple turbines turns into, but it's like a multi-barrel shotgun thing.
So use your imagination.
Right, but when the other 2 are melee weapons and this one turns into what? Like coherency.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like when minicons attempted the triple changer element or the target master element in addition to having an alt mode, it wasn't always the most successful. So I passed on these guys back in the day. I kind of wanted them for Tidal Wave, but I ultimately passed because
I picked these guys up at TFCon along with the emergency team. One of these is distinctly better. I don't think it's this one, but individually the bots are still cool. The shuriken at least has elbows.
You're gonna say that they're probably C tier, just C, as a whole.
C or shoulders, yes. Yeah, I would say I would put them in C because it's still a fun gimmick, and honestly, the best one's the Wolverine Claw one.
Let's do the street action minicon team next because this one I think we might be a little bit more divisive. Actually, no. Let's do
garbage.
Let's do. Where's the emergency minicon team? Where's it hiding on here?
Right before hoist.
You mean let's see. Why am I blanking? Is it here?
I think that's right.
There we go. All right. So sorry for the folks at home where this is a little zoomed in, but yeah. So I remember these guys being pretty good.
These are S tier, and you better fucking put them there.
I remember these guys being good. I'm trying to remember whether I had them. I remember really liking the clear plastic on them. They reminded me. I remember really liking the VTOL one.
Yes, the VTOL one is very, very good.
Yeah, but
the weakest one is probably the red one, but he still turns into a very convincing missile pack. So fuck yes.
Yeah, because these also tried to do the weapon modes, right?
They succeeded at the weapon modes.
Yeah,
more than the other one. Because they turned into range weapons. The police car turned into a pistol, which I still argue it's a better pistol than the Requiem blaster. The VTOL turned into like a double-barreled machine gun, basically. And then, like I said, the fire truck or whatever vehicle that's supposed to be turns into a double missile pod.
See, I hesitate to give them S tier though because the robot modes didn't have the best articulation. Yes, it's small,
Are you
but
kidding me? The VTOL has posable fingers.
I mean, he has posable fingers because of the transformation, but he had those.
No, just because they flatten out. But yes, they're posable.
That's because of the transformation, though.
Oh my god!
But he also had the knees were like buckled.
Okay, you can't complain that he doesn't have knees because his knees go sideways because he folds them.
He has sideways knees. Remember?
Oh my god, we're gonna have Deluxe and Voyager class series here that don't have any leg articulation.
I know, but when you see
this dude's legs,
when you set a standard for the others, I will concede and say A tier because there are I don't want to just hand out S tiers either, but I do think they're a good set.
There's only going to be like 3 S tier figures in this entire line.
I know, and you want to keep those S tiers small.
This is one of them, but I will capitulate this time.
Well, we can always make final arguments for it, though.
I say we put it to the chat at the end. We'll see.
Okay, chat. You are welcome.
Old enough to have ever played with these.
So, well, no, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at the age of some of the viewers, but. Chat, you are welcome to add your input if you are watching us live. I know it's a Saturday night, but if you're watching us live, let us know. And especially when we get to the end, when we're trying to make our closing arguments, you can be part of adding to those compelling arguments.
Let Jordan know how wrong he is.
Let's get to the Street Minicon team. I know this is one you don't like, but this is one that I do like. And
you can't talk shit about this. One of these guys has no goddamn legs.
Well, look,
you're so big on legs.
I'm not saying they're S tier though.
Has no legs.
I'm not saying they're S tier. But I do really like the fact, and we talked about this one at TFCon. I like the fact that they took very unconventional alt modes, did a scooter, a skateboard, and a BMX bike, and then they all combined.
Calling it a BMX bike is very generous of you.
Highwire is a BMX bike. That's what he is. It's never been done. A skateboard and a BMX bike had never been. Their articulation is limited.
A skateboard is basically just a rectangle. Oh, they did that all the time in G1.
Not all the time.
They do that all the time now.
Not all the time. But Grindor, Highwire, and Sure Shock were the.
These you know the names of.
Yes, because I like these guys. I like Highwire the most. I was always disappointed by Sure Shock because, well,
yeah, he's the scooter.
He's the scooter, and
he's basically a GoBot.
He kind of is a GoBot, but
GoBot's a better articulation than him.
I love Perceptor. I love how Perceptor comes together.
I will say he's probably number 2 on the successful combining gimmick.
Yeah, and
he's not a weapon.
While I do love this set, I don't think it's A tier. I don't think it's S tier. I think it's a B tier.
Oh,
I think it's jelly. Because a lot of the big ball joints held it back. It was very high concept. It had a good execution. It was a fun toy.
How dare you put a skateboard, a toddler's bike, and a scooter high concept? What is wrong with you?
They're high concept because they'd never been done before, and they were like the.
There's a reason they probably weren't done. They're lame.
I don't think it's lame. I think it's cool to have things that as a kid you'd actually interact with. When you're watching G1, I loved BotBots. In fact, I still have a bunch of BotBots handy over here.
I do too. I won't lie. I like BotBots too. I got tired when they were all redos of each other, but
that
different topic.
Different topic, different day. But yeah, I
right.
do like my bot bots. I'd
B
say jelly. I'd say that our B tier for these guys.
I will agree B tier, but it's gonna be low B, like grape jelly level jelly, the weakest of jellies.
Fair enough.
Actually, that might be raspberry. Raspberry's gross.
All right. Well,
Is that the last team?
That is the last minicon team, unless you want to count the biggest minicon of all, which is Overload. Because technically, he is at his core a minicon.
Which one? I'm sorry, you cut out for a moment there.
Oh, unless we're counting Overload, because at his core, he is a big minicon himself.
Oh, are we talking about Overload now? We're talking about Overload?
Yeah. He's not a team, but yeah. He's a brick. I don't think
it's not even that. I'm gonna lay out my overall problem with Overload, Jetfire, and the Prime in this series. Because they have that big combination gimmick, and this one's the worst one. Because it can't stand if it combines with Prime. And the trade-off is it turns into this big shoulder canning. Cool. The idea of the minicon it's basically wearing an exosuit. I like it. I think IDW did that too with Magnus. And this was recolored as a Magnus.
Yep.
So I like that concept, but it can move its arms at the shoulder and its legs up and down, and that's about it.
I thought he had. Did he have a static head? I thought he had like left and right head movement.
The head might have some movement because it was a part of the minicon. I don't remember. This was one of the coolest looking ones.
Yeah. I think his sculpt work and the basic functionality saves him from the D.
Okay. But his shoulders definitely hurt. But I will also say Fans Hobby did a great job remaking that guy.
They did. Yeah.
Much
Fans
better
Hobby
than
did him
Jetfire.
Justice. Yeah. That Jetfire, he needs tweaks. Let's try. I guess we'll go in some order here. Prime, Armada Prime. So,
all right, let me lay this out. Fuck his trailer. The trailer's trash.
The trailer is trash.
The first time they tried to do an auto transforming gimmick, Robinson did it better, obviously, but for like 5 million times the price. The core bot though was not terrible. It was very basic though. I don't think he even had any minicon gimmicks now that I think about it.
The core bot did not. They saved all that for the trailer.
Yeah, I think mostly the trailer.
Yeah.
So.
And Sparkplug was a great minicon.
Yes, he was probably on the same level as like the Street Action team.
Yeah.
Because he had decent articulation and was just solidly good.
I will say that even though the combined mode sucked, I will say that the vehicle mode and the core bot with the base, that was great. That was great. It's just that I think the only thing
prime bias is showing.
I have a strong prime bias. Now I may surprise you because I don't think it's an A.
No, I would agree it's not an A. I would only highest I could possibly give it because again, I think the core bot is good. Mm-hmm. I actually like it with Jetfire too. And it actually works if you put Overload on the top too, because the trailer his legs doesn't move, so it's stable.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the whole vehicle combined mode I thought was great with a truck.
No, I'm talking about the robot combine, the super robot.
Gotcha.
Mode.
Yeah, the super vehicle mode though was successful. I think.
Yes. And I think it works it also works as a battle platform or whatever they did. Was that a mode too?
Yeah, that was his base mode where it kind of was evocative of the G2 Prime and Rodimus Prime's battle station and then Thunder Clash.
I would give it a B. I will give you a B as the highest I would give it.
That's where I'm at with it anyway. I think I'm glad that we got the redo in Legacy because that
one's
did
really
it justice.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, the day after I was telling you at TFCon I hadn't gotten the thumb for the upgrade kit. Like the day after TFCon, TF Source, I got the thumb.
Oh, awesome.
I'm like, all right.
From the DNA kit?
Yeah, from the DNA kit.
Sweet.
They sent me an entire hand. I was like, all right,
Hell
well,
yeah.
I just need the thumb. So I'm like, I'm down.
I
Just
still,
small side of tape.
I still got to turn my, I have my, my kit for the fans.
Those are good hands. All right, next figure.
Next up, let's look at Blur. So
Blur was a later, like, wave 3, I want to say. And I actually think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I like the sculpt for him a lot. Let
me give you a bonus quiz on you. What was his minicon gimmick? What was the gimmick that the minicon activated?
That turned him into a flying mode, so it was kind of like evocative of Mask, which was pretty cool.
Yes.
He
had elbows. Oh my God.
He had elbows, and he also had knees and forward leg articulation. I recall him being solid. The only thing that really holds him back from greatness was that he was very back heavy. Yeah.
Yes, because of the gimmick, he held most of it on the back. And for anybody who has not messed with Armada, you do not realize how much you miss basic levels of articulation until you don't fucking get it for like an entire wave. I would say I wouldn't put him in A. Maybe B to C.
I think B. I think that those later figures they had better and more refined sculpts. They had more articulation. I loved that. And Ronda's Primal's got a good point. He's basically tracks with the minicon. So I think B is where he belongs. So let's put him in Jelly.
Yeah.
Cyclonus. So
oh boy, we're gonna have some thoughts on this one.
We are. So yeah, Cyclonus was one of the first wave ones. I bought him. I remember he was one of the more divisive ones because we never got a good, Cyclonus was one of the better G1 designs, and this was a in name only. He didn't evoke anything. It was basically Hasbro trying to keep the name alive.
See, I'm okay with that.
I am today, but my younger self was a bit more.
Was your younger self young and dumb like my younger self was?
Yeah, all of our younger selves were young and dumb.
Agreed. But they have better knees than us now.
Yes. Well, my knees are still good.
Yeah, because you're not a tall person like me.
This is true.
That's how you beat me in a fight, people. You just kick me in the knees. I'm done. I'm just done.
Well, Cyclonus actually was a cool gimmick toy. I got him mostly because he was cool in the show. He and
Demolisher.
Cool
as the show could be, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he and Demolisher were the henchmen. They were like, the Vulcan skull of
Pterosaur Scorponok.
Yeah. And I enjoyed his character. And when I got the figure, despite the fact I still think his character design's kind of weird and derpy looking, it's a very fun toy.
He's got a pot belly.
He's got a pot belly, but he's probably got the best gimmicks out of any of the first wave deluxes.
I mean, like, there's 2 minicon teams specifically that work like almost exclusively with him.
Yeah.
As far as like you attach him and he causes their gimmick to work, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And his minicon changed the type of helicopter he was.
Yes, that was the cool part too, because you could flip the bubble cockpit up and then plug him in, and he became more of like an attack helicopter, like an Apache kind of thing.
Yeah. And
we're gonna stretch the definition of Apache a little bit for him, but yes.
He had all the necessary articulation. He had, articulation at the hips. He had knees. He had elbows, which again, sometimes was rare. I can't remember if his head swiveled or not. I know his head flipped up, but I can't remember if it swiveled left or right.
I think it did. And when we get to a certain character with H, we're going to tell you why head swivel is important.
Yes. I remember him being fun. I'd say Jelly. I'd say solid B for him. I want to put him in A because of the gimmicks. But
see, now I might agree with you that the gimmicks might push him to A just because we have 2 different minicon teams that work well with him.
I'm willing to take that. Let's put him in A because we can always.
Well, this is a line about gimmicks. Like his gimmick with the entire rotor thing, because if you push it, you also made his helicopter thing spin. Yeah. And because of the gear, you made the minicons that had that gear push and activate the gimmick, which is kind of cool.
Actually, bonus points too. He had a waist joint.
Oh my God. Rarer than a unicorn.
if I remember correctly, he had the waist joint. Maybe I'm wrong. He also got some good repaints.
He did get some good repaints. And fun fact, in a later series, he became a G.I. Joe vehicle.
Yes.
All right, solid B. Next figure.
All right, next up, let's do his buddy Demolisher, which this was actually the first Armada Deluxe I ever purchased.
The crotch rocket.
He had the crotch rocket, but he was probably
he did not have a head swivel.
He did not have a head swivel, but he had elbows. He had he had like actual outward thigh movement. Transformation was fun. Deco was great.
Okay, the transformation was barely there. Let's be honest.
Transformation was simple, but it was effective.
I mean, yes.
You know, he did have a waist swivel, and that was mostly because of the transformation, because the tank. Yeah. Now, the one area where I will knock him is that only one of his missiles, like only one side of his arms, fired the missiles.
So apparently, that behind the scenes, they were going to put it originally in both of them, but costs.
Yeah.
He also has tiny ballerina feet for a figure that's pretty top heavy.
He does, but for turning into treads, like he was like one of the first that I remember that had treads turning into lower legs and feet, which now we get pretty commonly. I don't think he's as good as Cyclonus.
Rocket.
Yes, but that was a fun gimmick. The Minicon integrating into the vehicle mode and
you
making
dirty
it
boy.
less of an H tank. Boy. And his Minicon was cool.
I mean, yes, because he had guns for hands.
He had guns for hands. He didn't have missiles.
That's fine. Demolisher had the bigger missiles.
Yeah, Demolisher also had guns for fingers.
I will knock him a couple points though, because if you lost those missiles, his alt mode just lost all appeal.
That is a fair point. I don't think he's as good as Cyclonus. I would say though he's a B. I'd say he's jelly on this.
All right, I'll give it to you.
All right.
I'm gonna, just because the crotch rocket amuses me too much. If he didn't have that crotch rocket, no. It's all about the crotch rocket on that one.
So next up, we got Hot Shot, which
fucking drop that in the fucking trash can.
Yeah, this figure. You want to talk about again? This is a line where gimmicks ruled supreme, and I don't think any of his gimmicks were necessarily successful.
Let's list them off. Claw, front bumper became claw feet.
Yeah,
and he had an axle bazooka.
Yeah, and well, the other thing is,
you know what he didn't have? Head swivel.
Nope.
And forward movement on his arms.
Nope. And the other thing too was that claw gimmick wasn't even activated by a Minicon. It was activated by this weird engine piece that you plugged into his chest.
Yeah.
So it was like, and also when you plug Jolt in robot mode, Jolt went right in his ass.
As you do.
Yeah, yeah.
Look,
I mean,
look. This
Jolt's
is 2024. You cannot shame a robot for what it likes. All right, you can't do that. All right, that's prejudicial.
Look, you peg him and he fires a red rocket is what you do.
Oh fuck, that is fucked up.
It is fucked up. Jolt's a great Minicon. Jolt's like one of the best Minicons from like the initial wave of deluxes. But
he had knees.
Yeah,
he had legs. I don't think his arms had an elbow, but his arms were on ball joints.
No, yeah.
Or am I mixing that up with the new one? I don't remember.
I think you're mixing up with the new one. But Hot Shot's face sculpt was also so bad that they had to resculpt it on the redeco. I mean, his face sculpt just looked like he was.
You kept his visor down. You put a paper bag on that dude.
Yeah, that's. I remember that being a thing on the boards too, where people were really saying, like, yeah, just leave the visor down, man.
Yeah. So this goes. Like I said, I put him in D.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave him. I'm gonna leave him right where he came in.
Right where he fucking belongs. Yeah. Which is actually interesting because his later ones, like Energon, was okay. Energon was hampered by that combining gimmick, but like Cybertron Defense Force Hotshot and regular Hotshot from like Galaxy or Force Cybertron.
Yeah, he got his due down the line, but yeah, the initial
and the new one's pretty good too. I like the new one from Legacy.
Yeah,
although it should have came with Joel. Oh, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
Next figure.
So next up, we got Jetfire.
I liked that one.
Yeah, I did too.
It has more successful feats than Phantomies.
Yes, it was just it was one of the ones that out the gate. It took me a while to see past the proportions. He definitely had some.
You don't like a little junk in his trunk, a little chonky chonk?
I think that the issue was he was kind of shaped like Danny DeVito.
Are you fat shaming Jetfire?
I am fat shaming Jetfire, but he did have he did have some cool gimmicks that reminded me.
Sentence, man.
Well, he did have some cool gimmicks that remind me of Skylinks. I love
the opening on his shuttle mode. Like the back opened up, so you had that entire.
Yeah, it was like almost like a play set.
Yeah, like he held together pretty good, and he made a solid pair of pants for Prime.
He did. He gave Prime the leg articulation he needed, and also his minicon was very unique and formed not only a lunar lander, which was awesome, but he became the landing gear for the figure.
It was really cool. Yes.
So
I really like him.
I
would also say he had more articulation.
Yeah.
Than average for the line, I would say, because he had what we would consider now basic levels.
Yeah. He just didn't have a waist. That was like the only thing he didn't have. Waist.
Well, that's because he became a pair of pants for Prime.
Yeah.
That's probably why. Nowadays they could probably pull it off. They'd probably charge $85 for it, but yes.
Yeah. And then I remember when I got his Energon component, it was a big downgrade. But that's a story for another day.
All right. Where do you want to put him? I don't think we're in shoulders or D for sure.
I think he's an A.
I would agree.
Because he takes, again, like if you
also he looks great if you take from the Requiem Blaster, the white rocket and the black truck look really good with him.
Fair enough.
I don't remember if the black truck could tow him or not. I don't think it could. I think that was just Commodore. It's one of the few minicons I remember the name of too, Commodore. So I would agree with A.
Right on. Next up, Megatron, and this one.
Okay. You start.
Well, I think this is a figure where he lacked important articulation, and I wanted to be mad at it. But the sculpt was awesome. The gimmicks were awesome. I would think that if he had the leg articulation he needed, he'd be here. He'd be up in S-Class. Okay. But that leg articulation holds him back in my book so much. But I still love the figure.
So, I would agree the leg articulation was weak. However, again, this is a line where articulation takes a backseat to gimmicks, and holy fuck, let's list the gimmicks. Let's see. In tank mode, you had the turret itself had the cannon, and it had two minicon activated gimmicks, flip up missiles, and a rotating thing, which I think made the barrel go back and forth.
Yep.
And that's just the top of the tank, the turret.
No.
The front part of the tank, one of them had flip out things you could mount minicons
they were
on,
like blast
along
shields
with
almost, yeah.
Yeah, blast shields and like side things on the side where you could open up and put them on. And then one of them like an extending platform for a launching thing, and another side platform, and his back legs, capture claw, for
the little jail, the repair bay.
And then on top of that, he had the flip out knife if you put a minicon on him.
Yeah, and he
had to capture his head claws.
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah, they were not spring loaded, but they were definitely they were on. They could move and spring back. That was
so like
awesome.
All his gimmicks, and he had a metric dicton of them, were successful. Yeah. So that's where for me, I can, and I love my articulation.
Oh, I know.
I could overlook the leg articulation. and I
Well,
could
you
put him in
also
S.
you also forgot Leader 1 to
I
mention
mean,
him.
that's just a plus.
That's a plus, but Leader 1 is also one of the best minicons in the line
Yeah.
because he was a Wave 1 that was also a target master of sorts, and
Yep.
he formed a nice like little anti-aircraft dune buggy sort of thing.
Yep.
I can't give him S tier, but I think he's a solid A.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna have to revisit him because when we get to Tidal Wave, we're gonna have to talk.
Okay, well, let's go right into Tidal Wave then.
Okay, because if you tell me your ranking on Tidal Wave.
So Tidal Wave is one of the figures that I really couldn't put down. I again, Tidal Wave was another character where he had a very unique, unconventional vehicle mode. He was a giant aircraft carrier that split into the Dark Fleet, 3 smaller, but I think mostly successful smaller vehicles. The toy deco was different than the show deco, and I think it's funny we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Toy deco better, green better.
The toy deco is awesome. I'm not contesting that at all.
I mean, you can't because you're wrong if you like the purple one better.
I like them both. I think though if
How
they
neutral
do,
of you.
well, no, I like them both, and I think for me, I really wish that they would have done the commander class. And again, not to go off and talk, legacy stuff more, because the green deco is so iconic in the video game, and he's supposed to be giant in the video game. In the show, he was not. I would love to see them do a commander class one in the toy deco. I'm sure they will. So the vehicle mode, it didn't have as many gimmicks as Megatron did, but the gimmicks were cool. He had firing missiles. He had I love that thing he had with the flip out seats for the minicons. I thought that was really cool. And then you just get this giant, big ass robot with articulated. I mean, he didn't have fully articulated hands, but he had opening and closing hands, which was unconventional.
Very basic claws.
Yeah, he had all the articulation you could. Though his head didn't move left and right.
His head didn't move fucking all except up.
Yeah,
moved
up
out
and
of his
down.
torso or down into his torso.
Yeah, but also
He
the
also
way
had
the
turrets. He had the rotating turrets, I think.
Yes, he had the nipple turrets and the ab turrets.
Who doesn't love me some body turrets? Sexy.
But I think that this figure just was one of the most imposing ones that they had released at the time. It's hard for me to give it an S, but I think he's a solid A because of everything he does, and combining with Megatron was a cool feature. Did the combined mode look good? No, but it wasn't meant to. It was just supposed to be he's a walking battle station.
He sucked combined with Megatron, let's be honest.
He did. It didn't look cool, but
no, it didn't. It looked kind of lame.
He was meant to just
do what Prime does. Oh no, I can't.
It was just meant to be
Prime at that point.
A walking turret, basically.
Yeah, and it failed at that.
Yeah. But really cool boat mode, cool gimmicks, neat, big, chunky, articulated bot for Armada.
Okay. Well, where do you put it?
I think he's an A.
A, not S. Okay.
A not S.
Say, if you put him at S and Megatron at A, we gonna fight. I'm gonna fly to Baltimore. I'm gonna fight.
Yeah, I think that they're both. I think they're both
after
solid
we go
A's.
to Fall, go to Chow again. But then
I'd be down.
I would agree. I will agree with A as long as we're putting things in
Megatron with
Megatron. He's the same cool as. I think he actually has less gimmicks than Megatron.
He does. No. I would say if we were, I don't think it's fair to rate him above Megatron, but I think that they're all on the same level, but for different reasons.
I could buy that one. All right, we're not going to fight now.
All right,
we're still friends. We're all right.
All right, let's do one. I think we can agree on. This is the Deluxe Optimus Bendy Prime.
Fucking slat wheel.
That's the S tier. S tier. So
Minicon, good. Articulation, fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
The gimmick was Robo Punch, but the real gimmick was the articulation.
Yes. Yeah, and this one also got a really cool deco into Nemesis Prime. Yeah, so the thing about Bendy Prime or the Deluxe Optimus Prime was that he was still fairly large for what he was. I mean, yeah, he was smaller than the core robot, but he was still big.
Super con.
Yeah. But he
could
gave you
still
all the
tow
articulation.
trailer too.
Yeah.
And he could tow that
Yeah,
trailer.
he had a built-in trailer hitch. He still had the arm guns. He didn't have like the big blaster, but you got the Minicon to make up for it. And this was basically showing you like what Armada could have been if not for the the gimmicks and the budget. Yeah. But
because he still had a gimmick, but it was like
right
punch robot action, which is whatever.
Right.
It's rock 'em, sock 'em.
Yeah.
But like that's not the real gimmick is that this dude has more articulation than 90% of his line.
Yeah.
So yeah, Windmill Slam S, and I'm still mad you didn't buy him at TFCon. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I just didn't want to buy him at that price. When we saw the sealed one, I was like, nah. But I am happy to have.
Ronus might have giving it to you. Let's be honest.
Next TFCon, I'll be on the lookout. That'll be on my.
Although
on my
to be
list.
fair, that loose one would have needed some work.
I know he would have needed his joints tightened, and I was just like, yeah.
That is the downside of Bendy Prime is his joints will get loose with time and need maintenance.
Yeah, that's so many of them though.
That's fair. All right,
Yeah.
Windmill Slam S, next one. That might be the only S tier one.
No, I disagree. Red Alert. So Red Alert was one of the so these were MaxCon classes, which are now, I guess, what we would consider to be our Voyager class. Though granted, this guy's like a modern leader class. I picked this guy up on the day they were released, and I have fond memories of him. I liked his Minicon a lot. He had lights and sounds, and he also had a plethora of gimmicks. He launched discs from his chest. You know, he had the I love the RoboCop aesthetic of the guy. He had light piping. He had good articulation. He had he had like integrated stations in his hip for like the Minicon to like perch on, or any Minicon in general. And then I also like the fact that Long Arm, his Minicon, could become kind of like a shoulder cannon for him. And also, too, he had a really badass flip-out blaster gimmick in his vehicle mode.
He could remove it and become a normal gun, too, in his robot.
Yeah, it became his hand cannon.
Also, he's also one of the only handicapped Transformers because he was missing a hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know.
He had two blasters for it.
Well, I like the fact that it was kind of evocative of, like, Trailbreaker and, you know, like Trailbreaker, Hoist, Inferno. He was kind of like a culmination of so many different bots from different continuities. I mean, he kind of reminded me like Shockwave, but he also kind of reminded me like if RoboCop was a Transformer.
Yeah, but his chest is definitely like J Cup, man.
Yeah. That's the thing that gets him is he had some wonky proportions, and he also was very back heavy, and he had he didn't have the even at this time that the hips weren't ratcheted or anything, so he had problems standing on his own unless his legs were straight up and down.
It was a huge problem for him.
Yeah,
I would almost say to his detriment, to where you want to put this dude in S, don't you?
No, I don't want to put him in S.
Okay, because I was about to say.
Yeah, I'm prefacing with I love the toy. I have fond memories of it, but it is flawed. And also, I think now he's a victim of gold plastic syndrome. At least the Minicon is.
Yeah. So what are you thinking? B?
I'm going to say B. I'm going to say definitely B for him. Just because...
Honestly, if they had shrunk his chest, if he got a breast reduction surgery a little bit, so the balance was better, I would probably say A. But, like, it was such a huge issue for that one.
Yeah. I mean, they did revisit him in Cybertron.
Oh, they revisited him like 3 times.
Yeah.
because he was definitely. I don't know if he was in Energon, but he was in Cybertron twice. Once
Yeah.
as a deluxe, and then he became a
Ultra.
nuclear missile carrier.
All right. Next up, Scavenger. That's a D class.
All right. This is where the fight begins because this thing is bottom of D. This is the worst figure in Armada.
I still disagree. I still think it's Sideswipe.
You're just wrong.
Look, they're both trash.
Scavenger never got a repaint. Sideswipe did.
Scavenger never got a repaint because it was probably like, yeah, this is too expensive. This is too expensive.
It was the worst. Not worth it. Sideswipe got a repaint.
Well, Sideswipe got a repaint, but that's also because he was a deluxe, and it probably was more budget friendly. You can get away with at the time even selling a $10 figure.
Look, man. You want to talk about lacking leg articulation? This guy doesn't even have legs. He has bricks and cosplays like he has legs.
He has the illusion of legs. Let's at least agree to disagree that he's a terrible figure.
No, that we can agree on. He's terrible. He's the worst though. He can't even move his legs up and down.
Well, he can, but not in a meaning, not in like a.
Right. You explain his entire gimmick is pretending to walk. He's pretending like he has legs.
He has faux legs that when you roll them across the ground, they move up and down, like an old school 1950s style robot or 70s robot.
No, they did it better.
It's debatable. It's debatable.
No.
You know.
But he can't even bend his elbow. He has limited elbows.
Yeah, you say he can't even bend his elbows, but you were proven wrong at TFCon.
He has two ratchets. He can do 2 turns with his elbows.
He can do 2 turns. I agree. It's bad, but I also think he's got a better design than Sideswipe because.
Oh, in the comic and the cartoon, he looks so much better.
I think even as a toy standing static on a shelf is when you pick him up, you're like, oh, that's bad.
You look at him, he doesn't look good. It just looks like a brick with tread arms.
He looks like an alternate universe, like Devastator. Is this
the Wish universe, the Temu universe, maybe?
It is the Temu universe Devastator, but still, I
have gotten better things off Temu than that figure.
I believe it. But he's definitely a D. He's definitely a D.
I mean, that's not the argument.
As is this guy.
Well, actually, they're both terrible. They're both trash. The worst. This man has more articulation than Scavenger.
I'd say what we should do is for those watching, if you're in the live chat now, or if you're watching on the post. Let us know in the comments which is worse. Actually, I'll put a poll up on my community page. Which one's worse? So we can settle it with the community.
That's fine. Your community probably has no idea who these 2 figures are.
No, they definitely know. They definitely know.
Sideswipe's gimmick is better than Scavenger's because at least it mimics what Mike Tyson did last night.
I don't know, Sideswipe's gimmick doesn't really work. My buddy Treebot reviewed him not too long ago, and it's just like, what the hell is even that?
I was about to say he at least has minicon storage, but Scavenger also has minicon storage because the minicon could ride in the cockpit. But they both suck. All right, we had this entire argument for 4 days at TFCon.
It was the whole weekend. We had that argument, and And
I may have been outvoted by people I don't know. I still think they're wrong.
I mean, but you still got outvoted, so.
That's probably biased because they all know you.
Nah, it's not biased. Not at all.
Okay, you're probably right. Next.
Sideways. This was an interesting one. It's not the greatest, but I don't think it deserves to be next to these 2. Or
its gimmick. The gimmick is really bad. The minicon is better. The minicons are better than the actual figure.
I'll give it 2 points, right? So we took a point off of Demolisher for the fact that if you lose his missiles, the robot mode and the vehicle mode kind of suffer for it. Now, the cool thing about Sideways is that they had the foresight to give him a blank head. So if a kid lost the head, and I honestly think that the plain head looks better than the minicon heads.
You mean the little tube head that he's got with the handlebars that makes him look like an antlers?
Yeah, he's got like antlers on, but it kind of like looks like a medieval knight at least. It's not the greatest.
What medieval knight are you looking at?
I'm just saying like a heavily stylized one, you know?
Okay, that's code for suck.
Okay. I'm not saying it's great or good, but I will say that it did some interesting stuff for its time. I like the fact that he had 2 minicons. He got 2 with the purchase.
And they did combine. The minicons I liked better than the figure. And they had more articulation than Hotshot.
They did. And they combined to form either a
rider.
Rider. They also had individual robot modes. So they had robot modes. They could become heads or become a rider, which I think was pretty cool. So even if you had one in head mode, you could have one, in its robot mode. I like the fact that the missiles were actually stylized to look like tailpipes, and they had kind of a glowy effect on the end. He had the base level articulation. He just
no elbows, no knees.
Base level. Like he had the 5 POA articulation. The bike mode
no
is
head
terrible.
Articulation without the head plugged in.
Yes, but you still could do it if you lost to me. I'm not saying he's great. I'm just trying to.
He had the same level articulation as Sideswipe.
He did, but I don't think he's as bad. I think that
I think his minicons save him from D.
Yeah, but I'm still saying he's a C.
Yes, like I said, his minicons save him from the bottom of the barrel. For me.
Yep.
Those are fun minicons.
Smokescreen.
Oof. Well, just leave him where he's at.
I know that this figure has its fans, but look,
there's people that still like, old G1 toys. Like,
you got to go back to, at least those were 1984. They had an excuse.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. We have better now.
Terrible face sculpt.
Yeah.
I know that it has its fans, and he was a cool character on the show. Obviously, he comes back.
He died.
Oh shit, we don't have Hoist on here, do we?
He should have been on there.
I don't see him on here. We got Starscream, we got Wheeljack, Thrust, and Unicron left. We don't have Hoist. Let me see. Can I add? Let me try and add Hoist real quick.
If not, we'll do Hoist right after, and this is gonna go quick. We both love that figure, so
yeah.
As much as this figure sucks, Hoist is a million times on the opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
The winch gimmick is kind of cool. His main gimmick of the extending thing, good news. He would have the same fucking problem as Red Alert. Because if you extend that thing to full length, he's falling right the fuck over. I think his minicon was better than him.
There we go. I got Hoist added on here, so we're good. Yeah, the minicon was better than him. I think that the what they were going for is good, but he should have been a larger figure. He should have been like a MaxCon size.
No, absolutely. I think most construction vehicles like that should be big size. They just feel better.
Yeah.
So just leave his ass where he's at.
Yeah, and also too, he didn't have he had his hands were obscured by the front of the vehicle. Why? He didn't even have functional hands. So if you wanted to use something like the Skyboom shield on him, you had to plug it to the side of his arm. He couldn't even hold his winch. So let's leave it. Now let's cleanse our palates with Hoist, who righted a lot of wrongs.
Fucking windmill slam right next to Bendy Prime for me. That thing is just good.
It's got the articulation, and I love the sculpt on it.
That was another later one, right?
It was a later one. My only issue with him is, and I hate. Again, I love this figure, but I think that
it had ankle pivots.
It did, and
Do you realize like, I think it's the only figure in Armada that had ankle pivot.
Yeah, but also too, it did have a misassembly issue on it.
I mean, yes,
You know,
you're not wrong.
I would like to give it an S, but it's a solid A.
If you give Bindi Prime an S, why are we not giving this guy an S?
Because he had a misassembly error. He also
Is
had
that the factory fault? Does that really detract from the quality of the toy, especially when it was fixed later on?
It wasn't fixed later on. It wasn't fixed in Armada.
Okay, I mean, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, like, the misassembly thing aside, like, it had a claw on the shovel hand.
He did have balancing issues. That's the other thing too.
Yeah. All right.
We can revisit. We can revisit, but I say he's more of an A. He's a strong A. He'd be an A plus.
Okay.
And also he got redecoed into Timeline's Dinobot, which is I really wish
his head looks exactly like Dinobot from the original one, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like all they had to do was like change 2 colors and boom, Cybertron mode Dinobot. Let's go.
They did for the BotCon set.
That was like an easy like, hey guys, what can we repaint this as?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it already looks like Dinobot. Fucking go.
All right, we're getting into the home stretch. We've got Armada Starscream now, which is a big fan favorite. One of the first ones I bought too. I think I again like with Red Alert, I had a lot of fun with this figure. I remember initially being disappointed by the fact that he didn't have the same level of articulation as Red Alert. He had some proportional issues. He has very tiny hands.
He does have very tiny he has very tiny doll hands.
Yeah. And he's got lanky arms. I wish that he had like the same level of leg articulation that Red Alert had. I did appreciate the fact that even though he didn't have outward hip movement, he did have like a rotation at the thigh. He surprisingly stood well despite how back heavy he was.
Yeah.
And I really did like the whole gimmick with the wing becoming the sword. He had sounds. Yep. I can't remember, did the cockpit light up?
I don't know. I don't think the cockpit did. But I always took the batteries out of mine, so I can never remember what had light up and what didn't.
I remember like Swindle had some interesting integration with him.
Yeah. And I like that coloration better than the Sky Boom.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Well,
Jet Mode also had the hands hanging off, but that's show accurate. The arms hanging off.
Yes. So, I don't think he's shoulders. I don't think he's S. I would also not even say A.
I think jelly.
Yeah, I think jelly.
Yeah,
not like raspberry jelly, but like solidly like strawberry.
Yeah. Now we get into Wheeljack, which I love this one. I thought he had
this one because this has the best non-gimmick.
Yes.
The entire crossed out Autobot thing is just fucking cool.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but he had cool weapons. He had the Tonfas. He had
the tailpipe that became clubs, basically.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my tailpipe and just beat you to death with it.
Yes.
He also apparently in the show had beef with Hotshot and Good.
Yes. He also had a really cool color scheme. The only thing he also had, it wasn't as effective as Blur, but he did have kind of like the sides of the vehicles opened up. He had like but I don't think it was for flight at all. It was just like Lambo doors opening up with missiles inside.
Yeah, I think that was it for him.
Yeah,
he had one of the weaker gimmicks, but I think he was a better wall figure.
Yeah, the only thing holding him back from greatness, he had no knees, and then his bottom legs were super hollow. But he had good arm articulation.
Yes.
So,
I think this one's a solid category for C. C to B.
I'd say B. I'll
take B. But again, the entire molded on, crossed off Autobot thing, like at first glance you think he's an Autobot, and then it's like, oh no, he's a Decepticon. You see the logo on him.
And on top of that, they did like that silver detail where it was scratched out underneath, like he actually had it cut open. So cool. All right.
We here do not advocate self-harm of such manner. But man, it makes for a cool looking robot.
I'd agree. Penultimate one, we've got Thrust, and we talked about him quite a bit at TFCon, and I don't know. This one was one I wanted to like, but he is kind of doofy looking. He does do some cool stuff.
He is goofy looking. The thruster non-hands.
Yeah.
A little weird.
No
I
knees.
like his minicon.
Or does he have knees? Yeah, no knees.
I don't think he had knees.
Yeah.
He had good arms though.
Yeah.
Good arms, and he had a solid looking robot mode. Might be one of the best ways I've seen the cone head motif molded in, where it's basically a hat. He's got a Pope hat.
Yeah, he's got the Pope pack on. And transformation was really easy too.
Easy and not insulting.
Yeah.
Like Smokescreen. I'm looking at you, Smokescreen. But like I said, he is a goofy looking motherfucker.
I'm gonna say C for him.
Yeah, the non-hands bothered me.
The non-hands, and then also too, he didn't really have much in the way of gimmicks. His minicon was also kind of, his minicon was all right. It had a firing missile.
That's always,
I remember.
Yeah. I don't even remember what his gimmick was.
Yeah, I can't remember. So, oh yeah, when you plug the minicon, okay, so it was silly. It was like when you put the minicon in, it twirled his wings, like they were like spinning blades. But it,
fuck, is he going to the ball and twirling his dress? What is this shit?
Yeah,
the robot. He fire missiles.
I'm gonna say C.
I'll put him there just for that lame ass gimmick.
All right. Last but not least, this was an important one. So Unicron is our last one.
Windmill Slam.
Yeah, I think this one's an S class. It was important for a number of reasons. One, it was the first time we ever got a Unicron toy released domestically or at all. Beast Wars Neo was teasing one forever,
and that never happened.
Never happened.
And seeing the prototype, I'm not necessarily sad at that.
Super back heavy, super back. And this Unicron was its own design, but the cool thing about it was it looked enough like Unicron that no matter what you collected for, it worked. Yeah. So this was also the other one that had ankle pivot. So
it had posable fucking fingers.
Yeah. He had.
And we're talking about gimmicks. I've forgotten how many gimmicks it had.
Yeah. This was the second.
Also, his minicon was a moon.
Yes. So Dead End was a moon with a giant ass cannon on it.
And mounted right in the middle. It was great.
Yep. And this was the second Transformers figure to ever have posable fingers, and it did it way better than Air Attack Optimus Primal did.
Yes, it did.
he had just as many gimmicks as Megatron did.
He had more.
He had way more.
Yeah, because he could eat the minicons. He could eat. Funny.
Yeah, and he had like the little capture area. He had jails built into him. He had that big flower missile. Like his chest would slowly open up, and then the missile.
He had
would
the
pop
booby
out.
cannon. He had the boob cannon.
Light up eyes, a light up hand for whatever reason. That was the gimmick I never liked, the light up hand.
It probably has something to do with the cartoon that I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever. Like he had shooting missiles. So many you could put your entire collection of minicons on his rings.
Yes.
I think his rings were like double pegged on each side.
And even though he had a little bit of back kibble with the planet halves, they put ratchets out the ass in him, and he had no problem standing. And the cool thing about him was, even though it was a toy for a line that was still aimed at kids, it had presence. Like,
yes,
and most
plastic.
Yeah. And I think most people kept a version of him as their Unicron for whatever collection they had for a very, very long time, up until the HasLab and the
Well, some might argue it's better than the HasLab for a couple things. Not entirely.
Yeah, the HasLab nails the planet mode for sure.
Yeah, well, this is its own planet mode, but I would say the robot mode also has some pluses. I think it integrates. It's less panel formery than the HasLab.
Well, yeah, it's less panel formery. You could take the wing kibble off if you wanted to, which was nice. Like you could either have it on his back, kind of like wing kibble, or you could just pop it off and set it aside and have it.
Was his head removable, or am I tripping?
No, the head wasn't removable, but the way it folded back, because it like for the transformation, it had like those 3 metal prongs that went up underneath, and then when you flip the head forward, that made the connection for the the electronics to work in robot mode.
Okay, but yeah, it's also the thing had the gimmick where you could in fly mode eat the minicon and it'd go in his gut. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, I think that this one has to be S tier just because it worked.
100%.
Yeah.
It's, like, if we talk about all its gimmicks working and Megatron's A, this is S because it also has articulation.
Yeah. Articulation, presence, the fun factor. You go back to the HasLab Unicron, like, sometimes you get figures that are so large, they're not fun to handle, they're not fun to transform, but I think, like, this was, like, just the right size. Now, even though it's a separate line, when you pair him up with Cybertron Primus, you also had a really cool display.
When we get to Cybertron one day, we'll talk about Primus.
Yeah.
He has a big fucking flaw that holds him back.
He has a couple. He's a couple of flaws, I think.
There's one significant one that kills it for me.
The Cyberplanet key?
Not even the key. The key is fine. The thing that you need to transfer, you need something to transform him, is stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's my point, is that you can jam your finger in there, but yeah, that's not.
That's what I do, is go jam my finger in random holes. That sounds like a great plan, Jordan. Good job.
It sounds like Silent Hill. Is what it sounds like.
Oh Lordy Lord. That's all of them.
All right. So do you have anything that you're rethinking on this list? I'm actually looking at it. I'm actually pretty comfortable with what we got.
I like it. I would still maybe put Megatron in S for me, just because the gimmicks are so good.
The gimmicks are good, but if it's like, I feel like with S, you can't have any complaints. And for me, with Megatron, it's that if he had forward leg articulation.
If he had forward leg articulation, he couldn't wear Tidal Wave like a fucking backpack.
If he had ratcheted legs, he's still good. If they put some heavy.
This is back in 1990. Wait,
no,
2000?
It was 2003.
Okay, well that's.
Or no, it's 2000. Was it 2002? I think it was 2002.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Who could afford ratchet joints back then? I guess.
Well, these toys.
You were lucky if you got a moving head in this line.
2002.
You were lucky if you got a moving head in this line.
I still think that if they had those forward, and again, like Legacy has less of a budget, and for Legacy, they were able to do the legs, and he's able to wear Tidal Wave.
I mean, wear Tidal Wave or just wear his genitals. One of those.
I will contest putting him in S just because I think that flaw holds him back. I think he's better than Tidal Wave for sure, but I think they're both on the same level. It's just Megatron's an A+, Tidal Wave's an A.
All right, I'll give you that. But here's a more important question: which one of these figures do you want Fans Hobby to do? And don't say like Unicron.
No. I want Fans Hobby to do. I know they're already doing Starscream, but I really want them to do a Red Alert and a Demolisher.
See, I'd love for them to do an actually good Scavenger.
Yeah, Scavenger would they could, of all people, they could pull that off.
That would be ridiculously easy because that's a gimmick you don't copy.
And Hotshot as well. I think Hotshot would be one that they could do better than what, because Hasbro's done 3 attempts, and obviously the Armada one's the worst. The Universe one's got its problems, and the Legacy one is probably the best, but it's still limited. I would like to see what Fans Hobby could do with a smaller scale, because Fans Hobby likes keeping the gimmicks as well.
Well, that's a problem with them. They're never going to do Sideswiper Scavenger.
No. They're not going to keep that gimmick, but I'm just saying they like keeping like the gimmicks that matter.
What other gimmick does Sideswiper Scavenger even have?
Fair point.
I mean, yeah. Although they give scavengers that cape, fucking cape, that'd be good. I mean, for me, I'm not gonna say like an obvious one like that. Demolisher would be good, but we also have another company that showed at TFCon is doing a Demolisher that looks interesting.
Yeah. Was it Mechanical Skull Studios?
I think that was it. I was like, yes, something different. Not another Devastator. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're doing the those are more like Legends scale.
I thought they were closer to like Deluxe. I don't remember. They're bigger than normal Legends, I thought.
They're a little bit bigger.
Remember.
I know T-Man did a review of the Starscream, but they're like 4-inch tall figures. Like the Starscream's 4.3 inches tall.
Okay, so what I want them to do, I want them to do more mini-con teams.
I think they will. I think those things.
Right, but they're going to do. Yeah. They're already doing the 3-weapon ones, and then after that, I don't know what.
I mean, at least they're doing them with the robots, unlike the main robots, unlike Hasbro Takara, where they're like, oh yeah, if you want Joel, like again, we never even got Leader 1 with Galvatron
or Sparkplug with Armada.
Or Sparkplug, yeah. But Fans Hobby, that's standard fare.
Yeah, but also I don't know if they have. I don't know if it'd be profitable for them to do that, just because minicons are cool, but I mean the weapon teams are iconic.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones weren't even in the show, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, some of them were. They were mostly like background characters. I definitely want Fans Hobby to do an updated Perceptor.
That one I think they will do. That'll probably be the next one they do after the weapon teams.
Princeton coming in and saying the best Energon figure is Kicker.
Which one? You want the Japanese one that's basically like a G.I. Joe, or the actual deluxe one that came out in America? That came with an actual BMX bike transformer.
Yeah.
That was a good one. But Energon is next time.
Next time. All right. Well,
next time on Dragon Ball Z.
We'll get those set up. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to put this on the community tab, so anybody that wants to
disagree with us,
yes. So I've got that downloaded. We'll get that up on the community tab, and also ask the fine folks out there whether they agree, disagree, and settle the score on which is the worst Armada figure of all, Scavenger or Sideswipe.
It's sad when Hotshot doesn't even make the bottom barrel list like that.
He's lucky. He's lucky that those two. Maybe there's a conspiracy that like.
I mean, he got a meme. He was a meme. So like, I guess comic, that's a plus for him.
Yeah. The Yum Jam comic.
Jam. I like Jam.
I think it's Walkie kind of launched his whole comic career from that.
Good for him.
All right. Well, Lance, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure having you on. I know you don't really do any streams, but for anybody interested in checking out Forgotten Path, you want to tell them about the store or anything that you guys do that folks that don't live in the area would be able to go and check out that you do.
I mean, we have an online store at ForgottenPathGames.com if you want to order stuff.
Awesome. I'll put the link in the description below. So if you want to check out Forgotten Path Games, check out ForgottenPathGames.com. You guys are pretty professional, since I know I still have this guy over on my desk. Got the box there with the logo.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we have jerseys now too. Oh my God, I feel so fancy. So fancy.
So if you want to support a small business who supports the hobby, check out ForgottenPathGames.com. With that, we're going to call it for the evening. So again, I had a lot of fun here. We'll be coming back for these. We'll plan an Energon and a Cybertron one. And who knows, maybe what we should do is we should do a Beast Wars one.
Ooh, I'm down.
We'll have to break that up.
Beast Wars was my G1, so to speak.
Yeah.
I got in on Beast Wars, and it was a magical time.
We'll probably have to break that up by seasons, though, because we'll have to do the original.
You have to break it up by like toy line waves, because holy, there's a million more toys than there was ever characters.
Yeah, then you get into Fusors, you get the weird stuff like the mutants that was the tail end of Beast Wars.
Yep.
So,
and then
all
the
right,
Animorphs.
Yeah, well, Animorphs. We don't talk about Animorphs.
We don't talk about Bruno. I mean Animorphs. I used to read those books.
All right, my friend. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks to everybody that hung out with us tonight. And I will be uploading the vlog. I hope to have that out tomorrow afternoon, so stay tuned for that. But for anybody that happened to join us live here, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun. If you're watching this on the replay, let us know what you thought in the comments. Check out the community tab and let us know what you think is the best and the worst of the Armada line, and also help us settle the score of which one is worse, Sideswipe or Scavenger. Till next time, I will see you all on Tuesday for 0 Hour, but make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and if you haven't already, like this video because it helps me out in the algorithm. And I'll see you all live on Tuesday, but stay on the lookout for that vlog. Catch you on the next one. Have a great night.
Bye.